Hello, welcome to my mind map where I'll be discussing the differences and similarities between Irshad Manji, an advocate of Muslim reform and progressiveness, along comparing it to Alistair McGrath, who is an atheist turned Christian. And I got to watch both of these videos and explore both of their different viewpoints on different um, topics within their respective religions. Some things that I thought were very similar between the two were Irshad Manji's belief of reforming Muslim practices and Alistair McGrath's value of independence. Both speak about them in very similar ways. I think Irshad had a really, really great point about her book and also her whole um, mindset coming to approaching this type of topic. She believes that the Quran, and their practices have created less critical thinking, less independence, and less progression, and has caused people to kind of feel a sense of overshadowing from the religion of Islam because of the fact that the practices and the book is so old, dated, and has such clear guidelines that every Muslim is expected to adhere to. She believes that things that are overlooked is a big part in the Quran is the topic of independence, and that's why I think that relates to Alistair McGrath's. She makes a good point and quotes a scripture from the Quran that discusses how, as a practicing Muslim, it is important to find independence, critical thinking, and innovation to continue to form what is the Islamic religion. She is clashing with a lot of original theory and is experiencing a lot of pushback because of people not wanting to necessarily think about restructuring or recreating the image of what Islam and that religion has created for itself. Alistair McGrath talks about doubt comes from not exploring faith properly, and I thought an interesting kind of connection between his and Irshad's point is when Irshad makes the case that people find the knowledge they seek. I thought this was an interesting point because when she says this, she's saying in the Quran when people take things from scripture that can be interpreted to enact violence, it's when you look at that book, every answer is in there. So the answer that you find is the one that you're looking. If you want to justify violence, it can be justified in the Quran. If you want to justify anti-violence, you can also justify that in the Quran. So she believes that through seeking knowledge, people have actually found the truth that they have wanted to see. And she values, along with Alistair McGrath, seeing things from both sides, understanding the rational and irrational viewpoints on both of these religions, because Alistair McGrath, a big thing that he talks about on top of critical thinking is faith and the basis of faith and how that is something that can't be equated. It's something that you can't necessarily see, but the practice of faith is something that gives a lot of life to Christianity. And when you're seeking knowledge, not ultimately trying to find a right answer, but trying to find some sort of guidance, is where he finds that you can actually explore your faith, but seek the results that you want, because a lot of people have come into religions with the mindset of an end goal, or I should receive this for doing this or speaking on this. And both Irshad and Alistair McGrath emphasize how much of a continuous journey and growth that it takes to continue to be a man of God or a woman of God. Um, Something that I thought was really interesting in Irshad's was a point that she made that Muslims have stigmatized themselves, and she believes that this statement is true from the fact of the Quran and how the justification for things that have been catastrophic in the Muslim community, like terrorism, have found ways to be justified through religion. And really, she believes that that comes with the need for us to rethink and reform Muslim practices. And she's looking to really progress the culture. And she's found a lot of pushback from that, but her pushback to the people who have said that the religion, does not enact violence, that you can't recreate a whole basis of religion when it's been set in stone for so many years in advance. She dismisses those statements with the fact that in the Quran, it also emphasizes that being a good practicing Muslim comes with critical thinking and looking for progression and looking for continuous growth. So it's something that I found to be really interesting, because in Irshad's she mentions that, but also you can find that in Alistair's in a different way, through understanding that faith can bring reason to the irrational. And with a religion like Christianity, where a lot of the topics that are emphasized come with a faith and a unknowing belief that things will change, that things will be what they will be for you, comes from your faith. And trusting that Christianity is gonna be able to help you find your faith and your happiness, is a really important thing that Alistair talks about, and that kind of relates to Irshad's critical reasoning, understanding what it means to be progressive within your religion. And through Alistair's, he explains that you continue to grow through understanding that rationality and intellect can dismiss a lot of things, but at the same time, rationality and intellect can prove a lot of things within Christianity, and that side of is something that isn't always explored. Um, he, coming from an atheist background, he has put himself in the shoes of someone who has been against his own belief. So coming to someone who is in his own belief now, he's able to see both sides. And that's something that Irshad mentions, is being able to see both sides of things, being able to see the truth and also the lies, but in other ways the good and the bad that come from religion. Because people that have been responding to Urshad especially has drawn a lot of pushback, but people who have responded to hers have found a lot of problems with they found a lot of problems with understanding that Muslim culture is something that has good and bad within it, and in order for the culture to continue to progress, they must be able to understand the good and the bad, because you grow out of the bad and then you continue to cultivate and continue to grow the good side of things, to keep those things consistent and work on healing the bad side. So I think that both Irshad and Alistair McGrath have similar viewpoints coming into this, and I thought it was really interesting to see how two different religions attack really, really similar topics. And I thought that Urshad's, if I had to choose between the two, Urshad's was definitely more drawing, because of the fact of how controversial and how much pushback has been received for that. But it was a really interesting thing to be able to see the two similarities and differences between these religions. Thank you.